What do you think, though, as somebody who's got one of these platforms and is trying to do what you can to push the envelope, but also trying to be respectful?
I think this, in a lot of ways, feels inevitable. Zuck recently posted that op-ed in the Washington Post, which was a very different tone than what we've heard from the past. It seems like it took too long to get there, and I think we are still now navigating a world where live streamed video is now a distribution channel to millions of people, basically in real time. And there still are not yet tools good enough, even with all the resources of Facebook, both human and software, to moderate live video in real time. And then once it gets out in the world, to try to stop it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that so to me, one of the things that Facebook could do and all of these services could do, it goes against their business model of as many pages as possible. But I think, for example, if I wanted to live stream something, maybe it should only be to people who actually follow me. Right? So now, and most people don't have, hundreds of thousands of followers. Maybe they have, and maybe they're verified people who can actually broadcast. Maybe there's some that run on a delay. The bank, you have a lot of money. You might have a lot of money in your bank account. The bank only allows you to take a certain amount out from the ATM. People put limits on what is possible to try to protect the system.
Yes.
Those protections don't seem to be in place.
Yes, and it's not because they can't be. I'm only saying it's because they haven't. Yes, they have not prioritized it.
Meaning they're expensive.
Yeah.
Too. If you start taking down stuff, you're not building the biggest audience, and you can't sell ads to the biggest audience.
And ultimately, if you're building, either you're building these products as software, or you're staffing these teams with humans. Usually, it should be a combination of both. You're taking resources away from the things that have always been prioritized, which are growth and revenue.
Right.
And so I think now the tenor has shifted. I think now it is getting the investment. Did it take too long? Yes. The reality is, even if you were to have streaming just to a specific group of people, that content will eventually get out, right?
But here's the question.
And then it's a question of how fast you respond.
So the murder that took place in New Zealand was taken down, the actual live stream, within 9 minutes.
But the clips.
Right, which was somewhat admirable. It was the clips that ended up, by the way, on Reddit oftentimes, that ended up proliferating. And so therefore the question is sort of where that piece of the control is supposed to be.
Yeah, and so I think we're going to see a shift from the major platforms to develop the tools and the teams to respond to that way faster. Right. There is still the broader sort of balkanization we're seeing now of the internet, where there are other sites in other jurisdictions basically saying we don't care. And so the reality we also need to prepare for is, while we should be holding these platforms more accountable, the content is going to still proliferate elsewhere.
I thought you were going to make an argument about actually being able to publish those videos.
No.
Because if you really see well, it's interesting though. What would it do to the dialogue?
No, he's a decent person.
No. But what would it do to the dialogue? No, because what Reddit has done over the years, which is fascinating to me, is oftentimes the Reddit community is trying to break down these videos to figure out who is responsible. They look at different clues. I mean, there's been some very interesting things on a positive side that have happened in Reddit, and so I was actually curious to hear where you'd land on something like that.
Where the line is drawn for me is around the violence and the gore and the clear. Like there is no journalistic value.
There's no
redeeming value to having that on the platform, and so that is a clear. For me, that is a clear decision. I agree there is value in having the conversation around it, and I think having hard conversations is something that Reddit, I'm not full-time at the company anymore, but as a board member, that is something we want to have more of. We want more dialogue, especially complex and sometimes painful, but content like that has no place.
Do you have technology that could flag stuff like that?
I spent the last 6 months incubating a company of brilliant artificial intelligence engineers to try to build the moderation tools to help this. But I can't say I do yet. I can't say anyone does yet. Facebook and Google have more resources than anyone. They have more money and people than anyone, and it's still a problem. But I think we're going to see in the next couple of years a real effort made because, people are speaking up, regulators are speaking up, and they're going to have to.